Hi and welcome to a brand new episode of the Indulge Podcast with me, Roma Laishram. And today, like every week, I've got someone super special with me on the show. We've seen him on stage, we've seen him on TV, we've seen him on multiple videos, and we can't get enough of him. I've got astounding comedian Abishek Kumar with me on my show. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Romal. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for finding time. Finally, I mean, I'm a personal fan. So
he's been too kind.
I just love that I'm able to talk to you on Indulge Podcast.
Thank you so much.
So I think very few people know where you've come from, how you got into stand-up. So let's start with the very basic question. How did stand-up happen?
So stand-up happened by accident. Saturday's show, I booked tickets to watch the show, but one of the comedians had to fall out of the lineup because of some personal emergency. I replaced that comedian. So when a stand-up comedian starts out, they perform 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
My first ever show of stand-up, I did 25 minutes.
Whoa! And you kept the audience.
Yeah, my first show was my best show. Till date, I think it's my personal favorite because your first show, all your friends come, all the support system is there. After that, it slowly fades out. But first show was very exciting. I ruled. I just blabbered whatever I felt was funny. Even today, I blabber, but back then it was a little more raw, a little more rusty. But I think that was one of my favorite shows because very organic, very natural. I didn't follow any syntax, algorithm, or rules. Just went haywire. It was fun.
Super. You are often called one of the few comedians in the stand-up scene right now who's very decent, who's you don't take a lot of vulgar topics, you keep it largely family friendly and clean. Is that a conscious choice that you've done?
I think it's a conscious choice because do I never swear apart from being on stage? I do. I'm as human as it gets. But as I told you, we were discussing about this a little earlier before the interview. Corporates pay well and corporates expect clean humor. So only when you get used to clean humor, you can be consistent with it. So I prefer to keep it above the belt rather than under the belt because number one, I like everyone to watch my videos. I don't want at some point some kid or some parent cringing looking at, oh, why did he say that? So I tried my level best to keep it clean so that everyone in the family can watch the video.
Super. That leads me to my next question. So since you do corporate and you also do passion projects where you're on stage because you want to be on stage, how different are your sets?
Oh, corporate sets are a little more for the company. I write it for that show.
Wow.
For example, if the show is about Crown Plaza, I write it for Crown Plaza. How the employees in Crown Plaza will relate to the set.
Lovely.
Whereas if it's a public show where people purchase tickets and come for the show, I talk about my life. I talk about everything under the sun which I find funny. So there's no customization. It's just as raw as it gets. Here it's a little more polished for the set of audience who are coming for that particular show.
Nice. Now, when you're writing all of your pieces, who is the audience that you keep in mind? For your own pieces, not the corporate pieces. What is the audience that you have in mind?
So I think majority of my audience are little young, on 18 to 26. Someone who's in college or just passed out of college. So that's where the open mics come in handy. You test your material in open mics. The people who come to open mics are also in the same age group. So you see if they are, resonating with the material, if it's relatable to them, then take it to a public show. So you test it in open mics. If it works there multiple times, it's ready for a show.
Okay, that leads me to my next question, which is a lot of your performances, I have a South Indian connection. So you definitely work in Chennai, you work in Bangalore. I'm sure if you perform in Kerala, you work there too. But what about your shows in Bombay and Delhi? How do you relate to that kind of an audience?
So I think South Indians are everywhere. Just like how North Indians are also here.
Yes.
There's a lot of South Indians in Bombay, Delhi and all. So every time we go there, they want some local flavor. So they want some representation.
Nice.
And also when I say we, me and Nirmal tour together. So our material is mostly in English. The references are South-based.
True.
We tell the communication keep the communication in English, but talk about South stuff. That way, even if a North Indian audience is there, they'll relate to it and they'll enjoy it. So language being English helps and comes in handy.
Something that really stands out with your work and also Nirmal's work, since you tour with him, is that you have so many pop culture references, which is something that is so lacking, especially in South India. We don't do enough of pop culture. So again, is that a conscious thing? Is it just who you are?
I think you answered it yourself. I think it's just who we are because we consume a lot of pop culture. And again, there's another relatability factor, right? You don't put out content which is just relatable to you. You want the content to hit millions, go viral.
True.
So pop culture is a good handy tool. It's a catalyst when it comes to reaching numbers. So I think it comes in handy.
Nice. Something that I've always wanted to ask stand-up comedians who then quickly move to, mediums like Instagram and, videos and things like that. Do you find a big difference in the way you need to perform? Is a stage different from a camera?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, and what are the differences?
For example, stage, I don't have to restrict myself to what is trending, what is moving. Stage, I can talk about anything. But what is happening online is you drive your online audience offline. You get them to come to your show. So you have to be relevant on stage and off stage, which means if there are some Instagram reels trending, all these dance reels, we can't dance, but we make fun of the dance reels. So we have to somewhere hit the trending button here and there to be relevant online to get the audience offline. So it's a balancing situation here where you have to play the win-win game.
I think everyone who's listening to us would want to know, were you ever someone who had stage fright or were you camera shy at any point?
No. I was the exact opposite. I wanted, from school, I wanted attention. But back in school, I didn't get a lot of opportunities because, I don't know, it was restricted to people who can study really well, who could balance academics with extracurriculars really well.
This is such a Chennai thing.
Yeah, it's 11th and 12th, I got my fair share of opportunities, but I still didn't get the big slice that I wanted, which I really went for in college. In college, I overcompensated, went for every fest that I realized maybe I should do this full time. So I started doing theatre full time. For 3 years, I was doing theatre full time, slowly transitioned into stand-up, and now content creation, stand-up acting, everything.
This is Roma Laisham on the Indulge Podcast, and I'm in conversation with Abishek Kumar. Moving on to a very, I don't know, kind of a controversial question, but something that I think we should definitely talk about. A lot of people who are, in front of a camera or who are performing stand-up, this is a two-part question. The first part is, how do you deal with all the attention, first of all? Because you immediately become a celebrity of sorts and, people are constantly reaching out to you, pings, private pings on Instagram, a lot of unwanted, messages, all of that kind of stuff. Also, when people assume that Abishek Kumar who's on camera and Abishek Kumar who's on stage is the Abishek Kumar and does not assume that you actually have another personality. How do you deal with these?
I think when I was doing theatre, right, you were so desperately in need of an audience. You didn't pack stadiums, you didn't pack auditoriums, you were doing a cute 200, 250 seater and all that. So I think when you really worked hard for the attention, when you finally get the attention, you really are grateful for it. You should never take it for granted because everyone has a tide, I feel, in social media. Ride the wave well because you never know when it's going to drop. There's another Abishek Kumar going to come next week because everyone has a phone, everyone has Instagram, everyone has access to become viral. It's not subjected to a few. Anyone with a phone right now can become viral. So I think you should be really grateful for it and treat your audience with a lot of respect and gratitude because they follow you. Every follow button, every follow account increasing is a new audience for you. Is a new audience for your live show. So I think I'm really grateful for everyone who's following me. So thank you. And I think you should never take it for granted. And with all the noise that comes around with it, it's inevitable. You become oblivious to after a point. At some point it bugs you, but then you should become immune to it.
Nice. And how do you deal with people who assume that you're always going to be funny, you're always going to have energy?
It happened today with a friend of ours. I just tell them a really bad joke so they never ask me the joke again.
That's a very good idea. Okay. We've spoken about comedy, we've spoken about other, but something that you've also kind of got into is acting. You've done a few films, you made your debut. Tell us about that journey.
That is something I dreamt of.
Okay.
But when your dreams come true, it's surreal, right? To watch myself on the big screen feels really surreal at this point because I really felt I belonged to the stage doing theatre or stand-up. I never really felt I was great on screen, but there's something. When you get an opportunity, you're never going to say no. You're not that a saint also. So I went and plunged to the opportunities and I've done 4 films now and about 3 web series, out of which 2 are about to release. And every film has been a great experience because I got to work with stars who I grew up idolizing, who I fanboyed. For example, Dulquer Salman. These are people you watched in college thinking, man, this guy is so hot. Someday I want to get a picture with him. But to be in a picture with him is a huge deal. And again, very grateful for the opportunity.
Nice. Is there a hope that someday you might get into direction or you're writing a series yourself?
Yes, I'm writing a stand-up special of my own. That again is every comedian's bucket list. But I don't know about directing a movie, but I want to write a film where I write something for myself.
Got it.
I feel I'm the best judge of my acting. So I think I would love to act in a role which I wrote, which I think I would do justice for rather than writing for someone else. Nice. So someday, much later, I feel.
Super. Okay, so since you've got into all of this, now you also spoke about the fact that you did a bit of theatre.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure
yes.
it helped you.
Yes, of
So,
course.
but
Yeah.
how was your theatre experience?
I worked in this company called Kriya Shakti for 3 years. They used to teach kids theatre. So when you teach kids theatre, you're grounded below sea level. They are so brutally honest with you. You get so immune and you become a better performer, I feel. So I think I'm very, very grateful for Kriya Shakti for giving me the opportunity to teach kids. Because every day I went in, I had 60, 70 brats who used to tell me, sir, it's not funny. So where is the joke here? All that. So
Wow.
you strengthen yourself to such a tight level where you can get great response from them, then every corporate audience is easy for you. So I think kids really shaped me to be a great performer.
You're listening to the Indulge Podcast with me, Romal Laishram, and I'm in conversation with Abishek Kumar. Now, getting into something that I'm sure a lot of listeners would love to hear from you. As someone who literally, climbed the ladder on your own, you got into the industry as an absolute fresher. What would be your advice to someone who wants to get into a career with stand-up or theatre or any of the things that you've had experience
with? I think back then when I started, 2017-ish I started, it was very tough. You had to go to an open mic, hit open mic every week, get a nice 5-minute set ready, then get the stage. But right now, you just have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have everything in your hand where you can create opportunity and build a community for yourself very, very easily. So I know people who were struggling to sell tickets back then, amazing comedians. Right now they got Instagram numbers, they're packing shows now.
Yeah.
So it's great to see a reward and credit where it's due. So I think now it's relatively easier from where it was. So I think you can build your own sweet community just by putting content consistently. So never give up and be consistent. You're good to go.
Are there any red flags, things you should avoid?
Oh yeah, be politically aware of what you're saying. Don't be ignorant about throwing every crap online, because you should be responsible for the content you create, right? I've gotten called out for being very, very idiotic and stupid in very minute things. Like for example, some swear word which will pop out of nowhere. A lot of kids are watching my content. Someone pointed it out. So that's when I really started sticking to clean comedy. So be really aware of what you create. Make sure you're politically correct and be responsible for the community create.
Super. Okay. When people put together sets, because you have a great set, I have watched you. I've been in your audience in the past. There is something you figured out. You figured out how to put a set together. Yeah. I know this is asking you to kind of open up your secret, but what do you think is required for a good tight set?
Oh, I think good tight set needs a lot of practice in open mic.
Okay.
Even the best set can find a better version in the 10th time you hit the same set in the open mic. So be relentless in hitting the same set again and again and again in open mic, because the 10th iteration you get is going to be 10 times better than the first iteration. So I think repeating the same material, irrespective of how tight you feel, is going to help the set become better. And I feel gauge the room well. If, the same set which worked amazing in another show might not work in another show. So gauge the room well and perform appropriate sets in every room.
I've noticed in many of your shows where you're interacting with the audience, and that's a beautiful thing to do. You are caught in certain situations many times. Yeah. How do you deal with those situations?
Be very on your toes. Get yourself out of the situation problems as soon as possible. Because he's referring to the video where I asked this girl. From stage, you have no clue who's sitting where. The lights are right on your face. So I spoke to this couple about their marriage, how it's going and all. And then I move on to this girl and I asked the girl, so are you married? She's like, I'm in the 12th grade. So it was doomsday for me. But I quickly wiggled out of the situation. Nice. It is not that I was asking a 12th grade girl, are you married or not? It was because I couldn't see who was sitting where. So I think you should always be ready to get stumped in any situation, because there might be someone who really takes offense to a joke which worked amazing in a previous show. So be ready to advocate yourself and bail yourself out of every situation.
Those are absolute words of wisdom. And I think anyone who wants a future in stand-up should pay attention to that last bit.
Yes.
I think we're coming to the end of our conversation. Of course, something that I have to ask you, what next? You've got into web series. Now you're going to write something. You've done stand-up. You've done theatre. What's the next big thing for you?
I think next I have a Hotstar web series coming. It's called MY3. And then I have this web series on Amazon Prime called The Village coming. And apart from that, on the personal front, I'm writing my own stand-up special, which I'm probably premiering later end of the year, October-ish. So that's what I'm working on right now, building my own nice 1 hour of stand-up.
Super. Thank you so much for your time, Abhishek.
Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure talking to you. And
I
I hope everyone who's listening to us gets to watch you live someday.
Please do come for live shows. I'm inviting you for the next show.
Definitely will be there. This has been Roma Laishram on the Indulge Podcast in conversation with Abishek Kumar. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another amazing personality and a super conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you.